Dun, 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 dun. Let's go, John Cena.
How do I leave this?
What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael, he's Daniel, and partner, let me ask you this. Do we have a new number one contender?
I don't think we ever had a different number one contender. The way Arman Tsarukyan looked last weekend, I believe that it's justified. It never should have been in question, and we will discuss that in depth at the start of the show. Also, we'll talk about the welterweights and I go matchmaker. Because Ian Garry made a statement, but was it a big enough statement, Chael, to surpass what we saw Morales do and Protez do in New York City? I'm not sure. But Chael P, you are right. Arman Tsarukyan did exactly what he was supposed to do last weekend to solidify himself as a number one contender. Hey, he was a minus 800 favorite in that fight. So he was supposed to beat Dan Hooker and beat him very bad. But a lot of times in fighting, Chael, what you're supposed to do ends up being the hardest thing to do because the guys just don't play the game at the rate that the odds makers think that they're going to play the game. But Tsarukyan beat Dan Hooker from the start of the fight to the end of the fight. And I felt after watching that I love Paddy Pimblett. I think Paddy Pimblett's fun. I think Paddy Pimblett has a bright future in fighting. But I believe that the two best lightweights in the world, if Islam Makhachev is now the welterweight champion, it's Arman Tsarukyan and Ilia Topuria, bro. And that's not even in question anymore.
Yeah, I see it very much your way. So just to set the table for our audience, it has long been stated that the winner of Tsarukyan and Hooker would be the number one contender to fight for the world title. Now, we just thought that meant after the next world title fight, meaning we know Ilia's out there and we believe Ilia already has a dance partner. It hasn't been revealed to us, the audience, if that's Justin Gaethje or that's Paddy the Baddy, but whoever it is, the winner of Tsarukyan and Hooker will take that person on. It doesn't appear that's the case anymore. It now just appears straight up, it's Tsarukyan. Are you getting that same vibe?
I just think that he's the best. I mean, I thought that Paddy Pimblett getting in the octagon after Ilia won the belt was, to me, it was a little bit odd because I didn't feel like him beating Michael Chandler should have warranted him being in that spot. I thought that the biggest issue would be trying to do away with the images of Paddy in the cage with Ilia after he became the champion. But then when you watch Arman Tsarukyan last weekend, bro, he's big, he's strong, he can really wrestle, he can strike, he can do just about everything, and his top control is what's a real issue. And I believe that's the problem. That's the scary thought for anyone that are Ilia Topuria fans. Because if there's anyone that could replicate that game of Makhachev, or at least to a degree, Arman Tsarukyan. He was able to choke. Go ahead.
What about pace, DC? Are you seeing a strong pace from Tsarukyan? I felt like I did on Saturday, but I just want to know, when you were there and a little closer, are you sensing that he can weaponize pace? Because if you can't do that with Islam, you can't do that with Ilia Topuria, we might as well stop the conversation right now.
Yeah, Ilia's going to get you. If you don't get Ilia fatigued, he's going to get you. Dude, we have not seen a knockout threat like Ilia Topuria since Francis Ngannou. That is how big a threat, knockout-wise, Ilia Topuria is, and he fights at 155. I believe that Arman's wrestling, it could present some issues. I know that Charles Oliveira is a really good grappler, and he was supposed to give Ilia problems. He got a takedown, but he was able to get up. I don't know how easily it would be to get up from Tsarukyan because we haven't seen many people do it. Bro, he says he doesn't even say I have wrestling, Chael. He always goes, I can strike, I have freestyle wrestling. He calls it, he's very specific to the type of wrestling that he's using, Chael. This guy's like, he's a European guy, Russian guy that understands wrestling control and pace. And I just believe that he is the number one contender. Problem is, I don't know that people have given him the respect of the number one contender. To me, it felt like Saturday, he earned that respect finally. Did that come off that way to you too?
Yes, it did. His ability to attack Daniel, but particularly upper body attacks, and I'm talking where his arms are at the waist or higher, Anytime he's attacking the waist or lower on his opponent, he's using his limbs. He's using his legs. He's not dropping down. He's not carrying weight of the opponents. He's putting those opponents in certain positions that if they defend the wrestling, he can come back with the strikes. And he just rinses and repeats. And as the rounds went on and the fight goes on, I'm looking at his face. I'm looking at his body language. I'm looking to see if he's got the same output in round 3 as he has in round number 4. This guy was checking every box. Daniel, I mean, there was nothing about that fight that made me think anyone else should be fighting for the world title than him.
Yeah, you know, this guy, Chael, when you're minus 800, people expect a wipeout. He walks to the octagon. Dan Hooker, who has literally, bro, when Michael Bisping and Paul Felder were calling the fights, they were talking about whether or not Arman was too emotional because he headbutted Dan Hooker at the weigh-ins. Dan Hooker had done everything in his power to get into his head. You also have to remember, Chael, Dan Hooker in the fight prior, it had been a while, but he beat Mateusz Gamrot, who went tooth and nail with Tsarukyan back in the day because of his wrestling. He beats Gamrot by just stopping takedown after takedown after takedown. This time he couldn't stop a takedown. Arman just beat him up. And his ground and pound is so like, anybody can hit somebody, Chael. But to know what you're doing on the ground, in the ground and pound, set up the next shot every time you land one shot, speaks to a mental approach to ground and pound that most people don't possess. Not everybody knows when to throw the right hand on the top, when to throw the elbow, when to come with the left. He threw all the right shots while maintaining top control the whole time on Dan Hooker until eventually he choked him out with an arm triangle, just like Islam Makhachev. Dan Hooker is good. The only time he looks like he doesn't belong is when he's in there with somebody that is truly elite. And last weekend, it felt to me like Arman Tsarukyan proved that he's truly elite. And I think it's time now that people can stop doubting him. But again, the problem is we saw Paddy Pimblett in the octagon face-to-face with the champion.
Well, and Justin Gaethje is the right answer to every question at 155 pounds and has been the right answer to every question at 155 for the last 9 years. Now, Gaethje says, I'm taking my ball, I'm going home. You guys are going to give me a world title fight or I'm not accepting anything. Generally, that stance won't work, but if there is one guy that, after all this time, does have the right to ask for something, I think we would give Gaethje a little bit of a pass. The reason I bring Gaethje into this, if we do go by the rankings and if we do go with Tsarukyan, you have a question of, well, what are you going to do with Paddy and what are you going to do with Gaethje? And common belief is you would put them together. And more common belief is you would put them together on the same card to have a reserved backup fighter if you need one. And I think that's probably the direction that they'll ultimately end up in.
And they want to do that, but I don't know that Justin wants to do that fight. I don't think it makes much sense for him. That's why he's taking such a hard stance.
What's that word mean? What's that word you just said? Francis Ngannou just used that word about fighting Jake Paul in his biggest payday ever. What does that mean when you say it doesn't make sense? Yeah, what does that mean? What is sense? What's a senseful fight?
So the risk versus the reward, right? Like the risk of Justin Gaethje fighting Paddy Pimblett isn't worth what he's going to get, especially when he feels like he deserves a title shot right now, right? All he's going to do if he beats Paddy Pimblett is get a title shot. And the reason he can say that, Chael, is because he did the deed. He dropped the ladder and he fought Fiziev twice when nobody wanted to fight Fiziev. So to him, it's like, but if I lose to him, dude, I'm looking at the top 5 right now, and you know who's noticeably absent from the top 5 for the first time in a really long time?
Charles Oliveira.
No, Charles Oliveira is number 2.
I was guessing. I thought we were playing a game.
No. Michael Chandler. Because guess who just beat him? Paddy Pimblett. And guess who's number 5 now? Paddy Pimblett. And if Paddy Pimblett beats Justin Gaethje, he will just go again higher when Justin only has what he believes he earned already to gain from fighting him. But the other day, Sean O'Malley was speaking about how impressive Arman Tsarukyan was. He said, though, I don't believe the UFC will make the Ilia fight versus Arman. Regardless of how good he is, I don't think they make that fight because they value Ilia as champion, and it's too dangerous a fight. Do you agree with Sean O'Malley that the UFC would say to Arman Tsarukyan, not right now. Let's have him fight Paddy Pimblett because it's too dangerous. Remember, they just stuck Jack Della Maddalena in there with Islam Makhachev in his first title defense.
Well, the biggest star in the sport, if I was to take you back to the weekend we're playing Sphere, was Sean O'Malley. And the hardest matchup you could possibly give your biggest champion in your sport is Merab. So then when Merab wins it, he's got to redo it with O'Malley, and now Merab's got to get in there with Peter Yan, which is a rematch and a bit of a disaster of a matchup. And the same thing goes with Alex Pereira. He was the next biggest star in the absence of O'Malley. They put him with Ankalaev, which everybody knew how that match was going to go. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, no, I don't think that the UFC will play a hand in outcomes. I know early on in their career, there was guys that maybe they were thinking this storyline works better, but that's at least 10 or 15 years ago. I really believe that Dana is just going to put the two absolute best guys that he can find in the cage, let them settle it from there.
You know, Sean O'Malley also said, hey, he said, boy, did they do Jack Della Maddalena wrong. He goes, he got Islam. He said, when I won the belt, he goes, yo, they gave me Cheeto before I had to fight Merab. He was like, thank God I got to defend the belt because it's hard to beat those guys. And honestly, it's the best fight. It is the best fight. These are the two best guys in the world. But trust me, Paddy Pimblett ain't trying to go and fight somebody just to get beat. So whoever Ilia gets is going to be tough. It's just a matter of who that's going to be, whether it's Arman or whether it's going to be Paddy. I believe that it's going to be somewhere in the first part of the year. Arman just fought in November, so he would probably have to just get right back in the training camp. Chael, on the Dan Hooker side, he said, listen, after the fight, he knows he'll never fight for the belt. He said he'll never be that guy. He said, but he's going to stick around this thing for as long as he can, and he wants to crush as many people's hopes of getting to where he never got along the way. Can you appreciate a guy that's that honest with himself and goes, I know that all the championship dreams are gone from me, but boy, I can sure play spoiler in a lot of stories to some of these young dudes that want to try to go get a title. I like it a little bit.
Yeah, there's a part of me that really likes it. Somebody like Dan Hooker that's made it this far. And I mean, this is as close as you get to getting the thing that you want without getting it, right? I mean, this is a main event that Dana White has already said is a number one contenders match. That's a tough moment, and that's a moment where you really got to come to terms with yourself. And so for him to be able to compartmentalize, come to terms that quickly and say, you know what, there's still things I want to do. And the thing I want to do, this terrible feeling that I'm having right now, I want to give this terrible feeling to a few of these pricks. And I'm going to do it before I go. And maybe it doesn't equal a belt for my exit, but I'm going to make sure you guys feel the pain that I feel. And yes, if you're asking me if I can relate to that, you bet I can.
It's actually really, it's refreshing to see Dan Hooker just acknowledge, I know that the best guys are going to be a very hard night for me. But yes, I can ruin some dudes on the way out, and that's awesome for me. I appreciate that because I know a few years ago, we were calling for him to retire. I mean, we saw him during the pandemic. You remember that picture where this dude's like in Australia in the middle of the pandemic? His family's on one side of a rail. He's on, it was heartbreaking. I'm like, yo, just stop and go with your family. He's all beat up, or he got submitted by Islam and can't go to his kids. I'm like, just quit. And then he runs off this win streak, gets all the way back to fighting the number one contender in Arman Tsarukyan, and then kind of just realizes, you know what, ain't for me. But I'm telling you one thing, you're going to dance whenever you fight me. All you young dudes trying to get to the top. It was nice to watch, and it's great to see a guy recognize and acknowledge that. But that wasn't the only big, that was one of, last week in Doha was one of the better fight nights that we've seen in a while because those two top fights were so important to their divisions. Belal Muhammad fought Ian Garry. Bro, people want to have this opinion of Ian Garry. They better recognize this kid is good, man. He's very good, and he keeps getting better. Chael, he beats Belal Muhammad, the former champion, calls out Islam Makhachev. I like the bold call out. I don't believe he's a number one contender, though. Like, what do you think? Where does he stand in the welterweight division?
I also don't think he's going to cut the line. I just don't. I think by the time that fight would roll around is likely to be about the time Rakhmonov is back. being in the presence of a Rachmanov and having Ian Garry with, the undisputed championship opportunity, I think is going to be a little bit of a conflict. Not to mention, Gary's not demanding it. He's saying what he likes. He's saying what he did. History does say if you beat a former world champion, you get a fight for a world championship. But he's not quite at the point where he's saying it's got to be me. And I think that Morales is going to get a real good look. I think that Pratis is going to get a look and probably passed over. But if you were asking me who's next, I'm quite sure when I tell you that it is Morales.
You know, I thought that, and I'm looking at these new rankings, and Shavkat would have been easily the number one. Shavkat would have fought when Jack Della Maddalena fought against Belal Muhammad. Jack was able to get that fight because Belal was hurt. But I believe that when Shavkat gets back, he will find himself opposite Jack Della Maddalena. He's going to now have to go into a number one contenders fight to fight for a chance at the world championship. Belal Muhammad's number 2 right now. He's going to fall back, so he'll be out of the conversation. Shavkat will fight Jack Della Maddalena. Michael Morales and Carlos Prates will fight, and that will be an absolute banger because if Prates wins, now he's right in line for a championship fight. Morales wins, there's no more denying that he should be fighting for the belt next. Ian Machado Garry, I believe, will find himself in a situation, Chael, where he's going to be a bit of a backup fighter. It'll be kind of like just in the mix because I do believe that the next guy to fight Islam for the belt, it will be Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman is going to get an opportunity to fight for the belt, or at least in my opinion, he will. But they'll keep a guy like Garry or Morales, one of those younger guys, as the backup in case Usman gets an injury. So don't be surprised if when the welterweight matchups are announced, one of those guys is kind of free because that free guy will be the person that is just kind of there in case something goes wrong with the former champion.
I like that. I like the idea of Kamaru getting the shot. I do think that he deserves it. Kamaru needs to understand he's in a fight, and he's in a fight right now, and it's for the mandate of the masses. It's a popular opinion poll, and it's him versus Garry. Rachmanov is sitting this one out. Rachmanov has not done a great job of telling us when he's going to be back or even what is ailing him, and that's private information. If he likes to keep it that way, that's fine. But we got to operate within what we know, and I don't know that Kamaru is going to be loud enough. I think that Kamaru is probably secretly sending some text messages to contacts at the UFC. That's not the kind of fight he's in. Right now, he needs the mandate of the masses. He needs them on his side. He needs to convince them of the X's and O's. That while Islam's a very good wrestler, I'm a national wrestling champion. While Islam takes down everybody in the octagon, I've only been taken down 3 times, and 2 of them were the same guy. I think that Kamaru needs to come out and really make his case and make it strong because there is something to be said for youth and there's something to be said for parity, neither of which are on Kamaru's side. But there's something else to be said for execution, for elevation, and for placement within the rankings. And in those regards, I think Kamaru's got a good argument.
Yeah, he's got a great argument. But when I watched Garry on Saturday, and I watched him defend takedowns so effectively, I watched him in a closer fight with Belal Muhammad than he thought it was going to be. But I watched him operate in that very well. I watched him get the job done. He went to the post-fight presser, and he said, Belal couldn't take me down. Islam, you try to take me down. When you watch Ian Garry defend all those takedowns from Belal Muhammad, does it apply, or can you apply that to a hypothetical against Islam and go, well, he defended Belal, he should be able to defend Islam because Jack didn't, right? And Jack defended takedowns from Belal Muhammad.
No, not necessarily. I don't see the direct correlation there, but I will share this with you. If you keep your back off the fence, it ups your chances of not being taken down by anyone on Team Khabib. Step 1 is corner the guy in the fence. Then you get the underhook, you find your way to the body, then you start entangling the legs, then you drag him down to the canvas. An open mat, double leg, an open mat, swing single, a fireman's carry, these type things, just isn't something that team does. So while no, I don't know that Blahal's struggles are going to translate directly to Islam's struggles, I will concede that one thing Garry did a great job of, and he did it for 25 minutes, is he kept his damn back off that fence. And when he'd hit the fence, he'd bounce off it. He'd spin, put his opponent there, break away. If he can do that with Islam, we could be having a different conversation.
Yeah, and he's long, right? He's very, very long. He's tall. He fights at range. He does a good job. I think Islam, because he's so good at everything, you have to respect everything. And I think that's what's giving a lot of these guys problems. I think they don't expect him to be as good a striker as he is. So when he strikes with them, they get comfortable and then he takes them down. So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I just don't.
It's fun. 170
Yeah.
is really fun right now. I
It's
love it
very
when we
fun.
don't know. I love it when we can debate. I love it when Morales can have 9 straight wins in the octagon, 19 straight wins overall, and he's almost a second thought because we have such big stars. Like 170 pounds is in a
best.
very healthy position right now. But I
As
don't think
good
that
as-
Morales is going to do any better job than Kamaru Usman in speaking up and getting his name out
Yeah.
there. But whoever does that the best is going to get the opportunity.
They're going to get a title fight. Well, we talked about 2 champions, Ilia and Islam, right? The other day, Islam went back to number 1 pound for pound in the world. Nate Diaz, the genius that he is, was speaking about the pound for pound rankings and said that he feels Ilia is a more complete fighter than Islam Makhachev. And he should be higher on the pound for pound ranking list. Do you agree with Nate Diaz?
I'm a little surprised that Islam getting a victory and in the absence of Topuria fighting at all, I'm not quite sure how we flip-flopped. I think that maybe the committee owes us an explanation. The more appropriate explanation is we never should have taken Islam out of number 1 to begin with, but
Yes.
they did. That was the choice that they did, and once they did it, I don't know what their argument for getting that back is. Just by example, the next guy that beats Jack, does I expect him to be at number 1? No. Do I expect Jack to be at number 2? No. Then how does beating Jack get you to number 1 and get you in front of Ilia without throwing a single punch at Ilia? Like, this is the day-old argument. This is nothing new. But I like Nate's point, and I do understand his point.
You know, it's a good point, right? It's one of his better points, but I don't agree because, like you said, he should have never moved from number 1 because he was number 1 because he beat Volkanovski, who was the champion below. But then Ilia becomes a 2-division champ, so they flip flop. Made sense. When that happened, though, Chael, we can call back to our shows right after where we just said, well, if Islam becomes the welterweight champ, they'll flip him again because then it'll prove the exact argument of what pound for pound is. Your fighting style is good enough that no matter what the weight class is, you will find success. You find success at 155, you found success at 170. That's what happened. They flipped him. I have no argument with it because Ilia Islam 1 and 2 is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And I'd imagine it's going to stay that way for a while until one of them gets beat because they have proven by winning belts in 2 weight classes that they are number 1 and 2 pound for pound. Chael, we talk about a lot of champions and talk to a lot of champions on Good Guy, Bad Guy. But now we're going to talk to a guy who's still a champion, but he lost one of his major titles a couple weeks ago. He was a double champ. Let's talk to Dom Mysterio. All right, guys, now we are joined by one of my favorite wrestlers, the ultimate bad guy, who at WrestleMania when he won the Intercontinental Championship was a bit of a good guy, or at least it felt that way, but now he's just as dirty as they come. Dominic Mysterio. Dom, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It's an honor to be part of the bad guy club, right?
Chael, look at him. Hey, Chael, I met this young gentleman right here. Hey, he was long in the business, but he was very short on success in the business. But I saw him coming. We were in San Diego. I took a picture with him. We were chatting, and I said, I can see you sneaky. You about to do something dirty. And then he turned on poor Rey Mysterio. The way you have treated your father recently, Dom, I'm glad you got arrested. Chael, I was clapping when he got arrested. You deserve to go to lockdown for the way that you have treated your father, man.
Dom, tell us what's new. Take the mic, Don. Tell us what's up.
First of all, DC, I didn't appreciate how you started off. You said one of your favorite wrestlers. I should be your favorite wrestler.
Okay.
Right? I am the greatest Mysterio of all time. I'm 5 years in, right? Cena obviously needed me for his retirement tour to complete his journey along this legendary career, he so says, right? Dude's got 5 moves, but like he needed me, right? He needed the greatest Mysterio of all time. He needed the greatest Intercontinental Champion, greatest AAA Mega Campeon. So I'm just here making history at 28 years old, doing what I can and killing it.
Now, Dom, there's a big difference in playing an arena or playing a stadium. And I've seen you popping up in a lot of stadiums lately. Can you talk to us and just describe what the difference is, what it feels like into you, what extra pressure or excitement it puts on your shoulders?
For sure. The difference, I would say the biggest difference is we like to go based off of reactions, right? And arenas, as weird as it sounds, 15, 20,000 people is more intimate because we get the crowd noise instantaneously. In a stadium, when you have 50, 60,000 people, the noise takes a little bit longer to travel. So you have to wait a little bit longer to hear that cheer or that boo for whatever it is that you did. You got to, whenever it's normally a second or two in stadiums, you have to wait at least 4 or 5 seconds for the noise to come in and travel and you actually like hear. And so you can react to what actually is going on in the noise that they're making.
One thing I was surprised at, because, bro, there was a while where you could not get a word in. First off, I don't even know how you stayed the course, because it would get so loud the moment you would open your mouth to speak. One, how'd you not get thrown off by that? Because we've seen performers get thrown off by crowd reactions at times. And were you surprised with the reaction you got when you won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania? Because it was overall, it was 90% cheers and happiness by people that saw you win that belt.
For sure. I feel like you said a lot of people and a lot of performers get kind of not stunned, but almost aren't used to a certain reaction. For me with the boos, you just got to accept it. A lot of people don't like getting booed. A lot of people don't like getting hated on, but you gotta live in that uncomfortableness. You got to get used to it. And at the end of the day, the Judgment Day were the ones that helped me. All those guys around me were helping me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the promo, dude. If you can't talk, we'll talk for you. So I was like, all right, if I ain't gotta talk, I ain't gonna talk. So it made life easier for me. And when it came to WrestleMania, man, I remember when my music hit and I was just getting booed. And I was like, okay, here we go. And then as the match was going, they started singing my song, cheering for everything that I was doing. And I was like, this shit's a little different now. And as soon as I won and the crowd erupted, damn, this is crazy. Even with the callback, having to run back to the ring, that was a Triple H call. I won my title and I was dipping out of there. I just had stole it, a highway robbery. So I was like, I'm getting out of there. I got word from cameraman. They're like, hey, we need you to run back. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Let me bask in this a little bit more.
Yeah, why not?
Crazy.
All right, Mysterio, I know I got to back up a little bit, but I don't feel that Dom Jr. formed until your father turned on you, called the police, made you go to prison, and then you have to work with him at Mania. And this question's for Shoot. Were you upset or at least a little surprised that when you are working with Papa, he decided he was going to go over?
I want to do the respectful thing and be like, oh, I understand. He's been doing this for 30 years. He's a legend in the game, Hall of Famer, whatever. He wants to flash his Hall of Fame. If I retired tomorrow, I would be in the Hall of Fame next April. That's just the way it is, right? But I think it really hit me that he wasn't happy with my success, like you said, Chael, when he called the police. Because I just brought, at the time, my ex-mommy, right, to introduce her to the family.
You went to Thanksgiving or Christmas. You interrupted a beautiful family. You deserve to get the police called on you.
I don't care. I'm part of the family.
But
He's
sometimes
part of the
when your kid becomes unruly, you have to put him in his place. You are a man now, Dominic. You need to live and understand that there are consequences to your actions.
And there was consequences to my actions. Mommy was upset with me having to go to prison. She was upset with me. She had to call Finn and Damien to bail me out at the time. So she didn't talk to me for at least, what was it, the 30 minutes I was gone?
All right. So I gotta get to the brass tacks of the conversation.
All right.
This is all great, right? You've done amazing. We did the whole thing. Chael's loves you and all this, right? We did it. But let's get to what you're here for. You got beat by John Cena in Boston a couple weeks ago. You are the AAA Mega Champion. You were the Intercontinental Champion. You go into Boston, right? Hey, they say The measure of a man is what happens when the chips are down. They show me how tough a guy is when you can walk into a guy's backyard and you get the job done. Dom, you weren't able to do that. John Cena went over on you in Boston on the retirement tour. You say he's got 5 moves, but he got the job done. But you're getting a rematch. You're getting a rematch. How can you change the result of what just happened? Because again, many people were upset that you got beat. But how do you change the result of that?
Well, first off, DC, I don't know if you were watching the product that night or not, because you seem extremely lost with what is currently going on.
Yeah.
Obviously, John had management on his side. I was there to have a conversation with Triple H about what had happened between me and my deadbeat dad the week prior.
That's right. I understand.
So I go out. I can't find this guy all day. First thing he does, he pops up on TV. So what do? I'm gonna go out there and handle business like a champion. So I go out there and go speak to the boss directly, and it just so happens John's old ass was in the ring, taken away from my time, right? So I wasn't ready. I was unprepared. He had management on his side. He was obviously in Boston, like you said, town anyways. So we got to go to sunny San Diego in California, the best city in the world.
Hey, it's a beautiful place. I will give you that. San Diego, it's a beautiful place.
The best place. It's where Dirty Dom was born. So it automatically makes it the greatest place in the world. So we got to take it back to Petco Park Survivor Series, and I'm going to get my lick back. I'm going to put the final nail in Cena's coffin.
Well, I missed it. I got to tell you, Dan, I missed it. If Dom got beat, all that tells me is that somebody cheated. So if we're going back and we got to make this right in San Diego, that's fine with me. But my question is the same. My question to you is the same thing as when your old man didn't want to do the job. He wanted to steal the thunder, even if behind a mask, and he still needed that for himself. I don't think that John Cena is really on this big tour. I think this is pretend. This is pretend nice stuff to keep people going under. If it was really a tour and he was really one of the boys and was really going to pass the torch, then he'd give up the shoulders for the 1, 2, 3. And I haven't seen that from Cena, Mr. 5 Move Cena.
Because he's not for the boys. He's for John Cena, right? John Cena wants what's best for John Cena, which in a way, I understand, right? Because I want what's best for Dominic Mysterio. But he does it in a selfish way. Like to me, it just doesn't sit right with me, like the whole retirement tour and then trying to get all these, young guys to fight over him. Like, no, you're old, washed, used. Get up on out of here. Let the next generation handle it. But he's still lingering on to whatever he has left over here in the WWE. So we just, like I said, we got to get through Saturday night's main event. I'm going to let him kick the boot and we're all going to be happy.
Okay, so I have this idea, and I put this on Threads a couple weeks ago. You get beat. People are just pissed off. I go to Threads, and I go, you guys are all so mad. I go, hey, Chael. I said, I remember back in the day, this might have been 2011, Dominic Mysterio. I don't know your knowledge of this game of MMA, right? There's a young gentleman by the name of Daniel Cormier. He's in Strike Force at the time. There is a heavyweight Grand Prix going on. The last time is now tournament, the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix. There's an injury, Dom. There is an injury. In comes in the guy, Cormier. He wins the whole thing. A Star is Born. How about the last time is now is going on? Sheamus just got hurt. Put Dominic Mysterio in there. You win that. Dom, you go and you send him to the curb at the end of his career. John Cena's last match is against Dominic Mysterio. Chael, what do you think about that? Tell me about that as a booker, Chael.
I love that whole thing. I love the whole thing. My favorite part is that Sheamus got hurt. That's funny. I didn't know that he was out. My second favorite thing is that John Cena's got 5 moves. I talked to Sheamus one time on an airplane.
Yes.
He flew me off. I said hello, and then he pulled his sheet like up over his head like he was dead. That's how much he didn't want to talk to me.
Me and Chael are the worst. We're like pitching storylines. Like, you don't want to get stuck with me or Chael. We start pitching storylines, dude.
The only thing with your story, DC, was you said there's a new up-and-coming guy by the name of Daniel Cormier in this Strikeforce tournament. I'm not a new and up-and-coming guy.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I am a star in this game. I am the
you are.
I am not the future, I am the current. I'm the past, present, and the future. I told Cena on Monday Night Raw in Boston, any night, any era, it doesn't matter. I am the greatest Intercontinental Champion, the greatest Mysterio, the greatest AAA Mega Campeon.
Oh, I got to be honest, man. 28 years old. Okay, the young man's got something, guys. The young man's got something. Do not miss him. He will be going on Survivor Series War Games November 29th. It will stream live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. on the ESPN app in the United States and on Netflix everywhere else. And also, hey, don't forget that WrestleMania 42, Dominic Mysterio will be there, I'd imagine. And right now, you can get your individual event tickets for WrestleMania 42, taking place on Saturday, April 18th, and Sunday, April 19th of 2026 at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Those individual daily tickets go on sale on Black Friday. You don't want to miss it. I'm sure Dominic Mysterio is hoping to have another WrestleMania moment. Dominic, thank you so much for joining Chael and I. Hey, man, good luck against John Cena. Hey, you're going to need it.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm like Chael now. I know the rules. I understand. So I'm prepared.
Hey, you're going to need it. John Cena about to go upside your head, man. John Cena about to go upside this dude's head.
No,
DC, I hope
true.
I never see you in person again.
Why, man? Come on.
That's
Chael, I want to catch dinner with you after Survivor Series.
Hey,
after I'm the double champion.
DC's let's go, John Cena.
How do I leave this?
Chael, I gotta tell you, he got it. The kid's got it. The kid's 28 years old. He's exciting. He's got the gimmick. He's got the look. He can wrestle. I like him, Chael. I like him. I'm not gonna lie.
I like it too. And if he lost to somebody named John Cena, all that tells me is somebody cheated. And he says that John's got 5 moves. I was hoping he was going to tell us what those 5 are. But either way, he can count on me watching.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching Dom Mysterio. Hey, Chael. Thursday, Thanksgiving. Last year, you told me that you put mayonnaise on everything, man. Enjoy your mayonnaise on Thursday, on your bread, on your cornbread. Enjoy all that mayonnaise y'all gonna eat in the Sundin household on Thursday because we got the day off, baby.
Happy Thanksgiving, DC.
My man, Chael, happy Thanksgiving. Guys, no show this week. We will be back with you on Monday. For Chael Sonnen, I'm Daniel Cormier. We will see you next week. Peace.